this could be used as a media center. And the obvious port for this was XBMC. XBMC is a software media player that allows you to stream things such as videos, audio and pictures to your television, very much like you would an Xbox or a PS3. Now, to get this working on the Raspberry Pi, two different groups of people have looked at porting this onto the Pi's hardware specifically. The first one we saw was Openelec. Openelec is an embedded operating system which is built specifically to run XBMC, and again it's an open source and a free platform. The second one we saw was RustBMC, which is a minimal Linux distribution which is based on Debian, and it also runs XBMC and is dedicated for the Raspberry Pi. At first glance it's not obvious what the differences are between the two versions because they both are essentially XBMC. Now, the major differences I found are that XBMC is normally built off of something like Ubuntu, meaning that in the background it runs all of the normal Ubuntu services. Openelec is a minimal version of that, so essentially it's an embedded Linux operating system that only runs XBMC, and you don't get a lot of the stuff that might potentially slow it down. RustBMC is a dedicated version of XBMC for the Raspberry Pi, so it's been optimized really well to run on the Raspberry Pi hardware specifically, but it does allow a bit more tinkering and people to go in and actually make changes. So it gives the same sort of performance that Openelec does and the same sort of performance out of the box that an Openelec will, but it gives users the ability to go in and tinker and do things if they wish to do so. So it might be the best of both worlds. I guess we'll see which one's popular. So let's take a look at Openelec. If you want to use it, one of the first things you're going to have to do is go into their website and download a version of their software. Now, when you go there, you'll find that there isn't an image file specifically dedicated to the Raspberry Pi. So what you would have to do is download their software onto like a Ubuntu system and then compile and build essentially your image files and then port that over to your SD card. Now that's quite a faff and there's quite a lot of work involved in that. So alternatively what you could do is go to my friend's blog, which is route9.net, and he's been putting up those images and doing all that work for you. Obviously the last image when this video was done was the 30th of May, so if you come down here to this file here, you can download his 1 gig image and that will fit on a 1 gig SD card. So once you've downloaded your image from route9.net, you can extract it, and then what we'll do is we'll use the Win32 disk imager software to select that image, select our drive letter, and we're going to write that image to the SD card. We'll let it do its thing, plug it into the Pi, and then we'll watch it boot. So this is the splash screen you'll get if you successfully built your SD card with Openelec, and it will boot into this screen here. You'll see here that you have the ability to watch videos and listen to music, look at some pictures and look at some weather. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is go to rustbmc.com. Once the site's loaded, go to the download section and click on the installer for the operating system you want to do this on. What we're going to then do is download a piece of software which is essentially an SD card builder. Note that I've already installed, plugged in my SD card at this point. So extract the zip file and run installer.exe. So one thing that's nice about this installer is it has pre-built into it a feature that will reset your SD card and will essentially allow you to view the whole partition. Sometimes when you have these Raspberry Pi images, it can mess up the SD card so Windows can't read it properly. So if you click restore device for formatting, and then we then go in via Windows and we just want to quickly format our SD card so that we know it's completely clean and ready to go for this RustBMC XBMC port. Okay, once that's done we can close that off, and then what we're going to do is we're going to click install. What you'll notice is the first thing it's going to do is it's going to call to the RustBMC website and download the latest image. If we hit F5 repeatedly, we can see the image grow, so we know that it's still downloading, and it's about 6 meg there. Okay, so plug in your SD card and power on your Pi. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to see here is the boot screen. and it's going to say that it's going to connect to the internet and download the latest version. Obviously it's going to take about 15 to 20 minutes. Sorry about the quality here, I don't have a capture card. Okay, so it's downloading the root file system, and then it's going to install this. And this takes quite a while, so it says go grab a coffee, so I did. I made myself an Italian roast, nice deep full body bold. Okay, so it then installs all the kernel modules and the libraries that it needs to run. Okay, and then it will automatically reboot your system. This is going to come up, and the first time this boots it's going to take a little bit longer than normal because it's installing some of the components it requires. Okay, so it's just finishing the last few bits off, and if you get this on the boot screen, we know that it's booting successfully, and it should look like a normal XBMC build, and there we go, we can then view XBMC image. If you go into the system settings, one of the first things you're going to want to do is calibrate your screen because it probably won't align perfectly with your television. So go into System and then System again, and then go to Video Output, and towards the bottom you've got Video Calibrations. You have to calibrate the top right hand alignment, the bottom right hand, the subtitles, and a central one. Okay, so other settings that you have here are in the systems area. Obviously you've got the basic video outputs that you can change. You've got your audio outputs. You can change from the HDMI or the audio output on the Pi, and you can change a few of those settings there. You also have internet access, so if your Pi is behind a proxy you can set that up, power saving settings, and a few other bits and bobs. Okay. What I'm actually doing at this point in time here is I'm actually running XBMC in a Windows VMware. The reason I'm doing this on a Windows machine VM is because I haven't got a capture card and I can show you this in the full quality of the video, and essentially the process is exactly the same on a Raspberry Pi as it is here, because I'm teaching you XBMC and not anything specific to the Raspberry Pi. So what you need to do is you need to add a source to your video library or your picture library. So let's have a look at it working here. So I go into videos, and you can see here that I have basically files and playlists. Go to files, I have a directory called movies, and in here I can load up one of my videos that I want to watch. And there we go, there's one of me playing Halo a long time ago. Okay, so what I can then do is, if you want to add a pictures library, what we can then do is we go into pictures, and then we're going to say add source, and in here what you could do is you could, if you wanted to, click browse, and you can add an NFF share on your network or a UPnP device. For this example I'm just going to add something for my C directory, my desktop. I'm going to add the directory pictures. Okay, so I'm now going to add that, and OK, and hit enter. So now if I then, obviously we're back at this screen here, I've got a pictures, and to make up for using Windows, I've got a picture of a baby